Well, it's time for another recording. Um, I definitely got a little discouraged. Like every time I upload something and it gets 3 views, and I know that each view probably stayed for about 20 seconds and then stopped watching or listening, it's a little bit discouraging, and maybe heartbreaking is a bit too much of a word, too extreme of a word. Because I'm definitely not really feeling anything. It's just like a dullness of like, well, that sucks. Nobody's really listening to what I'm saying. But I need to keep in mind that, I mean, at some point, maybe years later, somebody will listen to things I have to say. So just because, the day of, it doesn't really, or like the next weeks or whatever, nothing really happens. Don't get any comments or nothing. It sucks, but it is what it is, and I don't necessarily feel that I have a right to have an audience or anything. It's just I don't like talking into a void. I don't think anybody would, and it would be nice if just it's just to have people that kind of get what you're saying, which, in fairness, I don't think people really usually do understand what I'm saying. So it's not really that I had that expectation, but there's a hope anyway. So I bought the Eragon book series. Aragorn, that's the Lord of the Rings character. Eragon book series, The Inheritance Cycle, because a long time ago, I guess probably when I was around like 12 or something, or maybe younger actually, to be honest with you. I might probably younger. I know it is kind of a weird thing to measure time by, but I don't think that I was like I hadn't hit puberty or anything yet. I wasn't in that phase or anything, right? I don't think. But I'm just saying, like, it'll become relevant in a minute with what I'm talking about, because the last like 3 audios have been about lust, and I've been dealing with it more and more. It's just my thing to deal with more than the other things. I mean, pride is definitely there for me. But part of like why it's relevant is because the main thing that I remember from the Inheritance Cycle, I remember like the 3 things. Aragon's actually, I guess a lot of things. But the points that stick out to me was Roran's relationship with his woman, his wife, Aragon's love for Arya, that elf woman, and I suppose also I remember Saphira getting massive crush on that old dragon, right? And I remember the dwarves and how the magic worked a little, and how Aragon got a sword that cut through everything like butter. But the point is, I'm saying I wanted to talk about like impressions on the ego, things that you remember that like it left an impression on you when you were young. And I read these books, and it definitely did something. I remember I may have written about this in my updated version of the Illusion document, or I may not have. I may have excluded it. I'll have to check. But I remember reading about how Aragon, when he was trying to use his magic to create art on a tablet, and his mentors were around him and pressuring him to do a good job, and he was distracted by the elf woman Arya's beauty. And I just remember how he thought about her, how like he said in specific something about her nose. Um, he liked it. How he thought like every man would think like this. He thought that many people would think she was imperfect or not quite right, but he thought she was just perfect for him. That's that sort of stupid thought that a man always like has about a woman. Um, just when he's totally smitten and in love with her. I remember that it left an impression on me. Um, and I know that Aragon had something to do because of the way that he loved Arya in these books and was so obsessed with her. It had something to do with it formed my view, my understanding, and my hopes for romance. I know that it did just when I was young. And it's not something I consciously think about, but I know, for example, I like women's noses when they're right for the way however I like them. And I wonder, was that something that was influenced because I read the Aragon book where Aragon talked about Arya's nose? I don't know necessarily. But maybe that thought was put into my head by the book and I didn't really realize it. And it relates to the illusion because I think we don't realize how much the things around us affect us and how we think, and how that ultimately decides how we feel and act and what we want. It's a completely beautiful day out, and it smells amazing outside right now. It's February, late February, and there's not a cloud anywhere. I mean, I prefer a little bit of cloud, but that's fine. I'm not gonna complain about a beautiful day. And I figured I would unwrap the inheritance cycle from the plastic because I bought it a few weeks ago and it came in and I hadn't unwrapped it even because I hadn't had any desire to read it. But I got the first book out and I opened it and I still don't have any desire to read it. So I read a few sentences and I'm like, this is boring, and I put it away because I'm just not into it right now. And I remember on 4chan, I don't know if I read this well on the site or if it was a screen capture I saw, or maybe it was on Twitter even, I don't know, somewhere online. Somebody said once, I don't know if it was a reply to something or what, but it was just, you can go back, but okay, now I can't even remember. I can't even remember how it actually went. It was either you can go back, but it won't be the same, or you can go back, but nobody will be there. Or something like that. So you can go back to those things in your past, but they're not going to make you feel the same. And it's not that I'm nostalgic anymore for Aragon, because I have become so sad and unhappy in recent years. I don't even feel nostalgia anymore. That is such a sad thing to say, but I truthfully don't. And the things that maybe I would be more nostalgic for have either been tainted because of the way my perspective has changed on people, or just myself, or the world, or I've taken those things and I've continued to use them to entertain myself to the point where they are not nostalgic because I still have them with me in the same way that they were, essentially. So, if you take something like Half-Life 2 or Halo, which I'm pretty passionate about, I enjoy those things a lot. I pretty much have more nostalgia for the recent memories of them than anything I did before. I don't really have... I just don't feel that childhood feeling anymore from things. Maybe with the exception of going to the park on some kind of summer day, or a pizza place that was in my hometown that I think about every now and then. Things like that. And I have dreams about spending time with family that I don't even really talk to anymore, which is strange to me because I know that I don't even really like them. But I suppose I still wanted a family at the end of the day. So I suppose that's what the dreams are about. Just kind of thinking like what could have been, but just what it isn't. And maybe to say what it is what could have been is not right, but it's just what isn't, and what I would prefer to be, but it just can't be, and I just don't think it can be. So yeah, I mean, I opened the book and I closed it, and as soon as I received it in the mail, I kind of knew that was going to happen, where I wasn't really going to read these books, because they're just not going to capture me in the same way that they did, because I've gotten older, and I'm not a happy person. I don't think that I can open a book like Aragon and enjoy it. And I'm worried that my memories of it will be ruined. I don't want that to happen. So I might keep it a memory and just own the books, and maybe someday I'll have my own children and I'll be able to let them read them. I don't know. The same sort of thing with How to Train Your Dragon, that book series. Sometimes I want to go back and read those, and I still have a dream of having my own children and reading those books to them, because those books affected me. Because those books are about growing up, basically, and being a honorable and just person and wise person, and doing the heroic thing and the right thing no matter what. So those books definitely had an effect on me, and who I have become. I believe in good ways, and the book has these themes about destiny, and I basically do believe in destiny, in a way. I basically believe in fate. I don't think that you can escape your fate or your lot. Like, this is your lot in life. This is my lot in life, and it was always going to be this way. In the Bible, it's theorized, not really outright said, or maybe it is, I'm not sure. But basically, some people are essentially destined for heaven, and other people are destined for hell. And if something that big is out of your control, really, if that's destiny, then nothing's in your control. Like, nothing that matters anyway, because that's the only thing that really matters at the end of the day. And I remember Jesus said something about how, evil must come, but woe to the man by who these things do come. Like bad things have to come, but woe to the people who they come by. And it's basically saying, this stuff is going to happen, this bad stuff is going to happen, and there's going to be people that will do it. And it's just, it sucks to be them. Woe to them. Woe to the person that does not believe. And it's just, it's fate. It's destiny. It's like the black pill. It's like everything is fate. And this is just how it is. Sometimes horrible things happen to people, and it's out of their control. Or really good things happen, and it's in their control. If you're born as a man or a woman, that's not in your control, as far as we know. Unless if there was some character selection screen before all this. That's one of the biggest things that's going to decide who you are in this world. And your race, that's not where you are, where you come from, who your family is. You don't decide any of these things. You don't even decide if you're born with a body that functions properly. And then people have the gall, the audacity, to act like things that happen in your life are your fault. Or that what happens to you is your fault. And it's just not. It isn't. It's like you're just the person you are, and the world's going to treat you a certain way because of it, and there's really nothing you can do about it. I'm a young man, but because I have this like aura about me, and this I don't know how to explain it. More of a I give the impression of a soft, sensitive person, I suppose. A weak person. But I really don't think I am. But that doesn't stop me from people treating me as if I am. And I'm not saying that to complain necessarily, because it has given me a lot of privileges in my life where people treat me very kindly in comparison to other people. And I get things very easy. People are nice to me, and they're not rough with me. They're polite. They're not rude usually. Like, this is when people can see my face, And I suppose sometimes it's online too, but for example, if I tried to get a job, a few times actually, I tried to get jobs that would have been very rough, and I knew that. And I basically got the sense that people that were contemplating hiring me took a look at me and thought, this kid is too soft, too soft for this. People think that I am 18, and actually 2 years ago, somebody thought, people were saying that I looked like I was 15. But this is so stupid. How old am I? Am I 24? Yes, I am. I think. I think I'm going to be 25 this year. I believe so. I can't remember honestly I'm pretty sure I'm 24 right now. Sometimes it sucks getting older, just because, like, time is marching on, and everything people talk about, whatever. But when I think about it, I would not want to go back and be 20 again or be 15 again or anything like that. I'm happier than I've ever been, which is really sad. But, well, a lot of things about my life really do suck at the moment. A lot of things are really great too. So there's much more happiness and joy, but there's also a lot of sadness. And I would not want to go back. Now, I don't want to go forward necessarily, but I also don't want to stay in the same place. So at the end of the day, what I'm saying is, I think the age pill is something that I can accept. And people say, it goes fast, and they say, oh, I wish I could be your age again. I don't really feel that I'm going to feel that way. I think that when I'm whatever age I am, I'm going to be like, yep, that sounds about right. I wouldn't want to be any younger again. And I think I'm going to accept it and enjoy the whole process. Maybe once I get very old, like if I reach 97 or something, maybe I'll be sick of it, but who knows? Or maybe it'll be a long, satisfying life, like the Bible says, with long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. Maybe it'll be like that. But just rambling, just talking about anything at this point. It is what it is. I was thinking earlier, it's kind of a sad thing to think, like, in the space of the internet it's full of young men who really want a girlfriend or a wife because we feel it will solve all of our problems, and then, well, not all of our problems, nobody thinks that, but we feel that it'll give meaning and purpose to our life and add love to it and things like that. And people will say sometimes, like, oh, it's not all about like that, there's so much more to life. And I've believed that for a long time. And what is this beeping noise I'm hearing? I'm not sure what this beeping noise is. It must be a bug or something. I don't know what that is. Anyway, I was just thinking, I can't remember the exact thought, but it made me laugh. It was like, maybe I actually do need a girlfriend. But I don't know. Because a lot of me doesn't want to deal with anybody. But the thing is, I just need people. No, not people. I need a person who I can be around and enjoy their presence all the time, basically. And if you think about it, the way we were designed was this way, where if you're a man, you're designed to join with a woman, and if you're a woman, you're designed to join with a man. Like, we're designed with marriage in mind, so it's not even strange to want it. It's strange to try to pretend and to deny that this is how we are, I shouldn't stay out here recording too long because I need to keep in mind I've got something on the oven that's just boiling. But, well, since it's not boiling, it's simmering. Whatever. Yeah, I was going to talk about the smell of a good book. I was going to name this audio that, and I still might, with the Aragon book picture. Because I love the smell of a good book, and it smells good out here today. And I like smells. I follow my nose a lot. I have this sort of feeling if I ever meet the one person, I'm gonna know by the way that she smells. Or if somebody smells off to you, then there's something there where it's, you're not compatible physically. You're not meant for each other, genetically, whatever. I don't know. I don't think that's that weird. Maybe it's a bit of an uncomfortable thought, but sex is a weird thing anyway. And I'm not even saying it in like a pervy way. I'm just saying, it's like Gandalf said, follow your nose. I remember one time I had this conversation with my mom because I was sitting outside, probably looking like a sad sack of stuff. And she came and sat out, and we had like this weird conversation, which was something like a heart-to-heart, but not quite. Anyway, I said something along the lines of how I preferred fiction to reality, and nothing has changed. I still like my books and my movies and my TV. I just watched the movie Event Horizon, and I thought it was honestly kind of mid. It was alright. It was a decent movie. People were saying it was like the scariest thing they had ever seen. And maybe if I hadn't listened to all those hell testimonies where real people had death experiences or near-death experiences where they said they went to the other side and this is what they saw and experienced, and it was so scary, like beyond anything, any horror movie that I could imagine, to be honest with you, what these people would describe. And the thing is, the things they would describe were consistent, in ways that you wouldn't really understand what I'm talking about unless if you went and listened to some of these stories yourself. You should go listen to these, by the way. It will put the fear of God in you, essentially, which is, at the end of the day, it's a good thing to fear something that you should be afraid of. And even religious people will act like you're weird when you say, hey, like, hell is a real place. And lots of people are going there if they don't repent and choose Jesus Christ. But I would have probably thought that Event Horizon was scarier when I was younger, but I also would have thought it was scary if I hadn't already been scared out of my mind by some of these stories that people would tell about dying and seeing hell. Like real people in real life, I'm talking about. And you can listen to these stories on YouTube, and basically people will cry. Like, they will be on camera and they'll start crying because the things that they experienced just beyond anything they could handle. And it's not acting, because it's just average people just talking. Like, it's normal people. Normal people don't have the ability to cry on command. And the fact that all their stories are lining up, not every story, because there's going to be some people who will make things up. Okay, yeah. And, but people tell these stories of how they're in, I don't even want to describe these things, to be honest with you. But if you need the fear of God in you, if you're trying to figure out, like, is this Jesus stuff real? Is this hell and heaven stuff real? Go listen to some stories of people dying and coming back and see what you think. Listen to a bunch of them, even if they make you, especially if it makes you afraid, because I think that the devil wants you to be too scared to listen to these things, because the truth is, if you listen to a lot of these things, you're going to probably end up believing in them. And I guess that ends the audio with another warning about hell to people. Don't go there. Accept Jesus Christ. Repent. Yeah, that's it.